This is the Black Narrative.
Yo, welcome back to the Black Narrative. This is Black Ice with special guest Jay of 6 Zeros.
What up?
Going on with you, bro?
Another day, another dollar, another shrine.
Right. Right. So, this is a special episode. We're here to discuss The Legend of Zelda Tears of the Kingdom. And is it racist? Or is it racist towards black women? And I've been looking around the internet and I haven't seen anyone talk about this, but I'm really curious on your take about it. Now, even if you haven't played this game or not into video games, I think this is still an important video to watch because this game is number one right now. It sold 10 million copies in the first 3 days, well, about a week and a half ago. So, like, this game is worldwide, and why I see it is, you have people all over the world playing this game, and they had a certain presentation of black people in the game. I think it worth the discussion, and so I want to start off. I want to start off talking about the two groups of black people in this game. And we'll start with the Gerudo, right? And you can't see the screen, Jay, but on the template I set up, I have a picture of a Gerudo woman, or next to your picture, so they kind of see how she looks in the game. So, and I guess the best way to describe these people is it's a community of all strong black women. Like I guess you could similar to like the all female army and Black Panther. All right, so there's no women in this town at all. No men allowed to enter the town. They only give birth to women, to little girls. They only birth a son once every 100 years, and the one son that was born out from their village is the main bad guy, which is Ganondorf. Black is black as a shadow, right? And so
and just mad for no reason.
Yeah.
just mad. Like
he came out angry. Right? And now Tears of the Kingdom is a sequel to Breath of the Wild, which came out 6 years ago. Again, it was a massive game. Both games, it was a top seller. And as a casual gamer, I have to admit, this is like one of my favorite games of all time. Even Tears of the Kingdom, it's a great game. All right, so I would say that off front. Like, it is a great game. It's a masterclass of game design. I would say that. But it do bother me how black people are portrayed in here, and I don't want it to just me how I feel about it. So that's why I have Jay here, because Jay is also playing the game. So if I'm wrong, he can let me know. But but I just feel like, this town of all is this strong black women. I just feel like it's mocking black women, right? First of all, it's mocking black people, but we're gonna start with this particular village because to me, it's mocking the modern black woman. Because you had these strong black women, they run their own town, they have their own army and everything else. No men's allowed. However, they spend their whole life trying to get a husband. Like, they have classes in the village of how to get a husband. Now, mind you, since there's no man in the village, so guess what? Guess what they got to do to find a husband? They have to divest. So all these black women have to go to a white man to even have a baby anyway, because how else can a village survive? You have to have babies, right? And so it bothered me in the last game, but playing this game, Tears of the Kingdom, it kind of explains how the village survives. And so if you've been to the town, Jay, I don't know if you saw the white man in jail. That was in the town jail.
Yeah, I saw.
Now, so there's a white man in jail, but he's in jail because he followed his Gerudo woman wife back to the village because they had a daughter. And she said, according to our customs, when the daughter reaches a certain age, I had to move back to the village to raise her. So that's how they keep the village going. So I'm thinking to myself, you spend your whole life learn how to get a man, how to find a husband, a white husband, just to have his baby, which is going to be a girl, just to leave him after 5-6 years and move back to the village where he's not allowed to come to live at.
Yeah, it's wild. And before I get into my thoughts, I just want to say that this is not the first or the last game coming out of Japan that has bad depictions of black people or black Americans. More specifically, if we look at Street Fighter, Balrog is basically like some Buckeye Coon.
Mhm.
And so it's like par for the course. So Japanese, they have their perception of Black Americans, and you can see it all in the game. And like the Gerudo, I think they're getting smarter and more coded, because they give you like this kind of it looks kind of diverse, like multicultural with the how the Gerudo are, but the culture, in my opinion, definitely reflects baby mama culture in the United States. It looks so foolish. Like you're looking at them, you're like, yo, this is a crazy world out here, and y'all think y'all gonna go it alone. When you looked at the soldiers, like when you walked into Gerudo Town and you saw the soldiers training, I was like, y'all are so foolish. Y'all gonna get eaten alive in this crazy land of Hyrule, just like you're getting eaten alive in the United States.
You know what? In that part, in that main quest that they're in, it kind of turns the game into a horror game because it got real creepy over there.
Yes,
You know what I'm saying?
I haven't fully explored it. I just linked up with Reju,
Uh-huh.
but I was exploring around there, and I'm like, yo, this is like Black American woman. I don't need no man, strong, single, independent culture. But then it does have that duality where it's like, but they all talk about they want a man. So I like Nintendo is throwing some shots in this.
Yeah, I totally agree. And then I also even read you with the girl who's currently running the village. You know they always say she's a descendant of your Bosa. Not the daughter of, because I guess Haikyuu passed on the bloodline. So like I guess it just shows a fellow descendant to lead the village.
Yeah, they're like, we can't figure it out. It don't make sense. So she's just a descendant.
Yeah,
we don't know how she got there.
Yeah, that's it. And so the game is huge. It's a huge open world game, and every Gerudo I come across is looking for a man. No matter where I'm at on the journey, like I could be in the wilderness about to kill some monsters, and she randomly walking by like, "Hey, are you the husband I'm looking for that I'm gonna fall in love with?" Like I was like, "Yo, like you mean this strong woman warrior crossing the land looking for a husband?" Like, and this is like to me, it's like a running joke, not the whole game. And that it's running joke that nobody catching on to.
And the thing is how disrespectful they are to the men in the game. Like when you go into Gerudo Town, the way they talk to you is like very disrespectful. It's very hostile. It's like, what are you doing around here? One part you're talking to the child, and then the lady's like, why are you talking to the Vo? The Vo's what they call men in the game.
Yeah.
And like, why are you talking to that Vo? It's like very hostile. So it's like that kind of if you want to say that the Gerudos are Arabs or Indians, you don't see that in their culture.
Yeah.
This is firmly something you see in Black American culture, resulting from all these different things we've come through. So I think it's just them, throwing a shot at Black Americans. Like, this is what we think of you.
Yeah, I think it's real slick at how they trying to hide it under the cover of make it sound like they're inspired by Islam, because that's not how Islam works. Like they are
exactly
family.
It's the opposite. It's the man talking about go over there and get up out the town.
like I haven't really seen any Muslim feminists out there like looking down on men like that.
Go put your Ninja Gaiden Cernobi costume on and get out of here and cook me some lunch. And don't get in the car. I see you driving.
Right. Yeah. Some countries, Muslim women are not allowed to drive. Yeah, they get on.
Like if I see you driving, me and all the homies gonna beat you down. So they're not the Gerudos.
Yeah, you know what I mean. So like I thought that was like really insulting. And then so there's a side quest. There's a continuation from the last game. So you probably haven't reached it yet, but you remember Terrytown from Breath of the Wild?
Yeah.
All right, so you remember when the dude that built it, he married that Gerudo woman?
We talked about that like last year.
Yeah, right. Well, in this game, they had a child.
Oh wow!
And so of course, it's a little girl, and it's gonna be a side quest. When you make it over there, you gotta help her leave to go back to Gerudo so she can be raised.
Oh Lord!
So once again, baby mama turned into baby mama. Like you find all the time to find a husband, so you can have a baby, leave him, and bring the girl back to the town so she can be raised with other women.
Another thing, it like highlights the stubbornness too. It's like they're so stubborn. This culture is like calcified. So like the Gerudos haven't made the adjustment. And to your point, I want to touch on this point again. Like there's not all women there's a man, the Gerudo birthed a man, and he's the main villain of the entire series of games back to 1985.
And so to make a stronger point, there's not one strong black male character in the series
Nope.
at all. Like oftentimes, like we so caught up like, oh, representation, strong black woman was like, yo, they slowly erasing the black man from the narrative, and this is another case of it. Like you know,
And one thing I want to touch on that is like we this just goes out to wider black society. Like if we want to be represented the right way, we have to build it. Like we can't be dependent on people to represent us the right way. The reason why they could talk so much trash about us and treat us so bad is because at the end of the day, we living off of everybody else. If you look like black Americans, let's keep it a buck. Like who you get your power from? Who do you get your water from? Who you get your groceries from? All that's controlled by the dominant society. Like who we playing games from? We playing games made in Japan or by a bunch of other people at EA and all these other companies, and we want better representation. But why give it to us?
you're right.
You're just begging for it. They don't have to do it. They're like, how about we not put you in the game at all?
Yeah, basically, and we still go out and buy it. I mean, like,
Yep.
you know
We
what
gotta
I'm saying?
make those experiences that we want. So it's funny to talk about it, but I don't really expect Nintendo to do anything else or any other developer. I'm not gonna look to Nintendo for my representation. We need black developers out there to make games that show us in the light that we want to be shown in. That's the only way. That's how the real world works,
Yeah.
not the fantasy world.
I think we first need to know that there's a need for it. You know, because right now
Yes.
I just having this conversation that I haven't seen anybody else have. Everybody think like even though all the black people playing the game, they see nothing wrong, and I'm like, well, yes, there is something wrong, and you know, 'cause you had to see a problem to seek a solution, and right now people don't think there's a problem. You know, so like, and that was only like one village. 'Cause remember, we still got another village, Lurin Village. And I guess there's their way of saying, I guess Caribbean people, I guess, and they are men and women in that particular town, and it's a town of fishermen. They're on the coast, and so of course you know the game is about saving the world. So every single town has some type of issue. I get it, but their particular problem was they got invaded by pirates, and instead of fighting them, they used the word themselves in the game. They fled. All of them fled the town. Every single one of them. So I was wondering how I went to different towns. I keep seeing one of them in there say they're refugees on people's towns. So I'm like, what you doing here? So I went down there. I fought the pirates and everything. Killed all the pirates out of there. So then that's when they finally crept out the hiding place. Like, oh, we saw you fighting from afar. So they ain't trying to come in and help or nothing. You know. Now, mind you, I've been doing other missions where other people be coming in and help me fight.
Yep.
Not these people. The black people, no, they
cowards.
They
They're cowards.
So then once you fought up all the bad guys and come out the hiding place, then they don't even rebuild their own damn village. The gay white guy in the game, because one gay white guy, he was in the last game too. He giving the orders, and me and this white guy rebuilding the whole town for them. So they didn't move back to after they still were rebuilt for them. I was like, bro, this is so terrible.
Hey, sometimes that's actually not really all that far off.
And I was like, yo, I'm playing it, and I'm playing the mission like, man, who in Japan watching Tariq Nasheed's broadcast right now?
And then not to deflect from that, but there's another town in there that I feel like is making fun of black people too.
Who?
The Gorons. If you look at the Gorons, they got big pink lips. They look like little rolling like little minstrels. So I was looking at them. I'm like, Nintendo like threw like a little bit of. They didn't want to make like outwardly racist just one faction, so they put a little racism in the Gerudo, a little bit in the Gorons. Because you look at the Gorons, some of them look Japanese, but a lot of them look like little pickaninny coons.
Yeah,
and I was
slang and everything.
And then the fools was hooked on crack cocaine, what they call Ready Rock Roast. I'm like, yo, I was watching. I'm like, yo, this is crack. The
Yeah.
dude was selling crack to the people, and they was
Yeah.
hooked on it. I'm like, yo, this is.
The
I'm like,
whole
Nintendo.
town, the whole town was so hooked on crack that they kept hiring signs, trying to hire outsiders to do the job.
Yup.
Because all the go-arounds was just hooked on crack. Like they literally in the middle of the village, just eyes bugged out and
Yup.
just zoned out. I'm like, bro, yo, I ain't gonna lie, man. Nintendo really went in, man. Like, yo, this how you really feel about us?
And the thing, and the reality is like, I just feel like we have. I would say we, but like a lot of bad decisions have led up to today. And
Yeah.
I'm looking at the Moors in ancient Egypt and the Songhai Empire, all these different things that transpired that led us to here. So
Yeah.
you know, we just a subjugated group
Yeah.
of people across the world now. So people are showing us what they see when they look at us, and if we have a problem with it, we don't need to complain to them. We need to change the way we interface with the world, because we're not interfacing with the world as adults.
Yeah.
As a black race, we're not addressing the world as adults. So they're showing us like, this is what we look at you. You're a bunch of crack infested baby mamas that won't build anything. And you got to ask yourself, when you look around, look at your family, how many people are actually building, and then see, like, do you have the right to be outraged, or who should you be outraged with? Should you be outraged with Nintendo, or your uncles or your aunts that ain't doing a damn thing at all, or your parents that ain't teach you a dang thing?
You know what, man? Pan African Strikes Back. Sometimes he makes some good points. Sometimes he come off kind of off. But he said something recently. He was like, all the FBA talk about, we built this land. He's like, well, tell me, what have you built that you wasn't forced to build?
Yep.
And I was like, he kind of got a point there. You know what I mean?
I, I think there's a difference between built and commission. It's like, just because you didn't do the labor doesn't mean that you didn't build a thing. Like the pharaoh that built, let's say Djoser, that or any of the other pharaohs that built any of the pyramids, they didn't get out there and do the labor. But you gonna say that pharaoh didn't build that pyramid? No, that pharaoh built that pyramid. The individual that commissioned the Great Wall of Zimbabwe, that's one of the largest structures on the planet, they commissioned that and they built that. They use they use labor to build it, but they built that thing. And so I think that when you have an entrepreneurial outlook and view of the world, you understand that labor doesn't mean, like, just because you're the labor, it doesn't really mean that you're physically building it. But did you commissioned it? Did you say, hey, we're going to build a building this high? Did you design it? Did you get the finances
Do you
to
own
support
it?
the entire thing? Yeah. Do you own it? Do you
That's
do
what I'm
any
at,
of
the
that?
ownership. Like
Like,
you
if
keep bragging about what we built, but what industry do we own in America? We don't own nothing here.
what are we doing now that we have our freedom? Like, when you have your freedom, what are you building? If you're only building under duress, then it's a sensitive subject. Like, did we physically, were we the labor of the United States? Absolutely. Did we build it? I don't think so. I don't think you could necessarily say that, because the issue is if you didn't have the Western philosophy, like, to create the banking system, to design the roads and everything how it was, would it still come out the same way? I think no.
Yeah, yeah.
You could see in Jackson, Mississippi, like, obviously it's hundreds of years. We've had our culture deteriorated because we've always been under attack.
Mm-hmm.
But when the white supremacists were messing with their water supply, what did the citizens of Jackson do? A lot of them just sat down on their hands and hoped that there was going to be some water bottles. That's not a builder mentality. That's a labor mentality. You
Yeah,
need someone to get your butt in line and start whipping you to do something.
yeah. And then right after that, they had the whole trash issue. They didn't have trash pickup for I don't know how long. You know what I mean? Like they kept voting for it. And my thing is, like, I should have been put up at people's houses to make them like sign a contract for trash pickup. But you made another good point too. You were saying how black people as adults don't communicate with the world, and that's a good point because, and this was so scary about this game because like say so 10 million copies worldwide plus in the first 3 days, and a lot of the cultures they never talked to black people in person before, so this is all they get. They keep getting fed the same narrative about black people. They really do believe we like that, and I remember he was at a job, and I had a Ukrainian coworker, and this was years ago, and she was like, "Yo, when I first came over here, and she was nice about it. I know she didn't mean it in a mean way, but she was like, I thought all black people sing and dance because that's all they showed over there in Ukraine. You know what I'm saying? And I was like, so yeah, so the image is everything. So you have to think about the video games, the movies, the music, and all they putting over there is us entertaining and us being in these positions, and we're not going over there and actually talking to people. And then yeah, that's all they know. And that is kind of like a scary thing,
But what they also don't see is black people in power in the world stage, and part of that is obviously we're being sabotaged. But at the end of the day, we're gonna have to overcome the sabotage, and sooner or later. And the way it's looking like is that black society as a whole is moving from one oppressor to the next, moving from the Western world over to China, and we really need to start seeing more black people in a position of power and exercising power, and we don't see that.
Yeah.
Black people are always having to go to some other entity to be able to support its own people and to be able to defend what we call all is ours. So until we start seeing that power, it doesn't matter. It doesn't really matter. Like the media is always going to be in a negative context. It's like the bully thing. The bully on the schoolyard, if you let people bully you and there's no consequence, then everybody's going to start bullying you. Even the cowards are going to start bullying you because they know there's no consequence. When there's a consequence for encroaching on someone's freedom, then that other person has to think twice. And right now, there's no consequence for encroaching on black people globally, encroaching on our freedom. They encroach on our freedom all they want, and nothing happens.
They said the victors control the narrative. It's so true. So they control how they perceive history. You know what I mean? Oh yeah, this is, it's one other thing I knew I wanted to bring up. After I finished the mission and I rebuilt that whole town for these black folks, they can't, you playing the main character's a white guy, you playing this white guy. They come up to me and say, "Yo, you are a savior." And then the word savior was in bold red inside the dialogue box. So they want to make sure you saw that. And then I'll tell you, took screenshots. And then like they called me savior like 3 times. I was like, wow.
See, and that gets in kids' heads too. So that's why we as black parents have to get in our kids' head and let them know, like, the only savior is you.
Man,
You're the savior, and the black man and woman next to you, that's the only savior. Link ain't no savior. Okay? When Link saved your village, there's a loan attached to it.
Yo, I'm thinking about all the people he saved. None of them called him a savior, but these group of black people. And this is the only town that did have black men in it, and none of them were fighters. They were all fishermen.
And they all subjects of Princess Zelda, who's a white woman. They all bow down to a white woman that leading all of them.
Man, I don't know you got this far yet. Do you collect all the tears yet?
No, I didn't.
Okay, I went ahead and collected all the tears last night. And so every tear you collect, they show you like a cutscene or a flashback of what's going on. They show you what happened in the very beginning of time. And so they go back to the very first king and queen of Hyrule.
Are you gonna spoil it?
No, I'm not gonna spoil it. No, okay. I'm not gonna spoil it.
I seen some of those where it shows a homeboy and his wife.
Yeah. Did you see the one when he met Ganon?
Yep. And he did the truce. Are you talking about the one where he was like, "Hey, I'm not gonna." There was one where he did the truce, and then there was one where he was attacking, and they did the laser.
Okay, yeah, I think it was the truth when he introduced himself and he bowed down to the king. Yeah,
yep.
That part kind of struck me too because he said some key things in here, and not saying that Ganon isn't evil, because he is evil, but he was like, "No, who are you? Like, you just came down from this strange land all of a sudden, and because the king was like, yo, you've been like, he was like, yo, you've been calling me to come here for a long time, and I finally showed up. My apologies, but I don't know who you are, and you want to be part of this kingdom. So it's almost like, yo, the first king of Hyrule came and he colonized the land.
Yep.
And he was trying to get everybody subjected under his authority. And it was like, no. So I was like, is he really the bad guy?
I think I forgot what. I think it was one of the 64 Zeldas. And it kind of gave him a backstory. And what happened is Ganon became evil because he was upset with the discrimination against the Gerudo people. And that's why he turned evil. So it's like it's basically a black dude that looked like a Kuma, but son is upset, and so that's why they need a Ganon side story, because a lot of times evil be having a point sometimes.
Yeah.
If you look at a lot of evil, like people like to like a lot of times, like I'm not caping for evil at all, but I feel like every human being has the ability to be evil. And so when we make evil cartoonish a lot of times, then you don't really learn the nuggets from it that you're supposed to. Like there might have been some things that happened in Ganon's past that he's like, yo, you know what? Screw Hyrule. And if we hear this dude's side of the story, you like, oh man, this guy's actually the protagonist. All this joint really gotta go. And it's like one day things are gonna change, and the world order might change, and there's going to be a lot of innocent people that are hurt or might perish because of the world order change. And if you look at it from an outside perspective, you're going to be like, oh, that's so sad that that one power is getting overwhelmed and the people are starving. But when you look out, you're like, hold on, that power was bombing on everybody for 100 years. And now they just getting a issue, and you looking at them getting a issue, and now you're sad. You didn't look at everybody else getting a issue over the 100 years. So Ganon might not actually be the bad guy. Giving Hyrule the issue might be what Hyrule needs.
Yeah, I think that's one of the flaws in the game is that they made the story so too simple.
Yes.
And I think a perfect example of what you're saying would be Black Panther. How Killmonger was evil. It was you understood why he did what he did.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying? They humanize him where he just wake up angry. Like from his childhood, he went through all these series of events that made him the man that he was. And I think they could explore that story with Ganon too, to make people think like, yo, people think it's just good and evil out here, and it's simple as that. No, like even on this world stage, all of them evil. You know what I'm saying? Yes. They're all evil. So I would like to see different layers of that being shown in the future. I think it'd be a real dope side story too, with the whole Gerudo history and everything. But but like I said, it's a great game. I'm enjoying it. But that was just really heavy on me, man. I was just playing. I'm like, man, I'm the only one that's seen this, because to me, I don't know. Because once your eyes kind of awaken to these things, you cannot see it. And you see it in everything. You know what I'm saying? You see it in everything now. So it's hard for you to enjoy anything now. You know what I mean?
It's right there. Like in the game, it's right there. Like when you're playing, when I was in the Gorons, I was looking at them rolling around. I was like, look at these little roly-poly coons. It was just, you couldn't miss it. I seen the pink lips. Yeah. I'm like, yo, this looked like 1930s America. I ain't even like exaggerating. I'm like, but it's just that casual where anti-blackness is just, it's so casual that even if you bring it up,
we missing it.
Yeah, we missing it. And then when you bring it up, they're like, you a hotep. Like,
oh, man. Yo, and I don't want y'all to leave in the comments. If you playing this game, let us know if we just think it too far into this. If you agree with us, let us know. If you disagree, that's cool too. You know what I mean? I would like to hear that too. But lastly, to your point about how they see us, I was just reading an article about the new Final Fantasy. I saw on 6 Zeros it was promoting coming up, and they had they had an interview with, I think, the director of the game, and they were asking them like, "Yo, why is no people of color in this game?" And he answered horribly wrong. You know what I mean? He was saying how the foundation of Final Fantasy has always been medieval Europe. Well, as if black people was never in Europe, you know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly.
And then it's called Final Fantasy, so it's a fantasy game. You have magic. You had chocobos running around the goddamn
but
game.
No black guys.
But black people, that's too far. That's too unrealistic. And I was like, and this interview just came out maybe a month ago, and I was like, wow, because this game about to drop next month, and I was like, wow. So it's like I say, it's so in our faces, but I think too many of us it still go over our head. You know what I mean? And I hate to turn people of color, but but they made a point here, like like different races in Europe during that time. There were no Moors there during that time, like.
You see that in a lot of like medieval shows. Like there's like no black people at all, and they're like, well, black people weren't in there at the time. It's like dragons weren't either.
right. You get them in there, dragon eggs and everything, like magic spirits and everything. So I'm like, man, so that just show you how they really see us, and I think, and really the whole purpose of this whole show right now, I just want people to just be aware. You know what I mean? Just be and keep open mind how people really see you around the world. We really don't have any allies. We really don't, and it's so casual. And I'm really surprised and disappointed that it's so thrown in our face, even this game. Like I said, I really enjoy the game, but it really bothers me how much it's thrown in our face and nobody even see it. Especially black people.
Yeah, and I think that like that to your point, like we don't have any allies, and then ask yourself, like, why would anybody want to ally with you? If you ain't got nothing to bring to the table, like 6 zeros, we having this discussion that someone was like, um, Africans ain't ever did nothing for me. I'm like, what do you want them to do for you? Like if you go to Africa, like let's say you go to Ghana, man, you need to go there and be like, yo, let's build something together. Don't go over there looking for welfare. Go over there like, let's chop it up, bro. Let's own something.
Yeah.
Let's build something. That's how people want you to come at them.
Yeah.
Like that's why I say like a lot of times we don't address the world as adults. We
Yeah.
address the world as like especially like Black Americans, in my opinion. I feel like a lot of times we address the world from from an American privilege standpoint and think that everything works like America, and it doesn't. Like the second you go outside of America, like the game shifts and there's a whole other slew of problems. And so when we go to these other nations, like, hey man, you gonna give me welfare for me to come to Ghana? Are you gonna give me $1 million so I could build a rap label? They're like, nigga, if you don't get out of here, like we need to go interface with the world. Like, yo, if we really built America, bruh, you need to be talking different. You need to be like, we built this. If I made Hove and I'm gonna make another Hove.
Right.
If you build Hove, make another Hove. They'll be sitting here asking Jay-Z to be paying you because I made Jay-Z. So Jay-Z, you need to pay me. Make another Jay-Z and then have Jay-Z hit you. Like, kill two birds with one stone. Make another Jay-Z and then tell Jay-Z, man, I need my bread.
Yeah.
But don't be sitting there waiting on Jay-Z because Jay-Z ain't coming back. Jay-Z trying to get a casino in Brooklyn. Jay-Z got other issues. And if you sitting there in the hood in Brooklyn, starving, destitute, he's not coming back. There's no reason for Jay-Z to even talk to you or deal with you. And that's what you're seeing in the United States. Why would the government do anything for Black Americans if there's no consequence for not doing nothing? It has no reason. So if you built America, I'm talking to you, and I know y'all gonna be mad at me. If you built America, which we did, we were the labor. Let's build another one. Let's build something, man. You see it. We build it. 6 zeros. We built our own platform. We work with other Black people. We work with Black guys. On our UX on a lot of different things. Build something, man. Stop sitting there. Yeah. We don't have no time to not be building. If you made Hove, make another Hove. Okay, I get off my
Yeah, before we wrap up, man, go ahead and plug 6 zeros.
Yeah, so everyone check out 6zeros.net. That's the number 6, zeros.net. This is our logo right here. And so basically, we are where the Black community can have authentic conversations on the topics we know and love. It's Black owned, Black operated, and Black funded. And so we need to control our own spaces. A lot of times you hear people talking about, oh, I'm being banned on Twitter, I'm being censored on Twitter, I'm being censored on Reddit, or they're so racist on Reddit. Well, we could build our own, and we have our own, and we need to support our own. And last thing on that is, like, I understand that a lot of people come to the community and they want your patronage because they want to try to guilt trip you into it. They want to say, hey, I'm Black. come on my platform. No, I want you to come on 6 Zeros, and I want you to enjoy the experience you have. And if there's anything that you feel like we could do better, let me know so that we can make it better, so it can be the predominant destination for Black people online to communicate and collaborate with one another, and also just to have a good time and talk about new music, so on and so forth. So come check us out, chop it up with us, and help us build this, man. Don't be running around here and running around to all these different social media platforms being being subjugated and then complaining. That's why they showing you like you are on Zelda, because you're gonna play it anyway. You're gonna support all these different things anyway, because you're not gonna go and build your own. When we build our own, then we go start showing the image we want to show, and then Black people will have another choice, so they don't have to rely on these fools that make fun of us every day and show us baby mamas.
You're
Baby
right.
mamas, divestors.
Right. Well, I appreciate y'all checking into the broadcast. Appreciate y'all. Shalom, and catch you next time. Later.
Is it over?
This is the Black Narrative.